Hey, this is Bryce Harper, and welcome to the Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Phillies Show with Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury. I'm Todd Zolecki. It's Friday, August 9th, 2024. We're actually taping this, though, Thursday night before the Phillies open a big 4-game series, Jim, against the Diamondbacks. I just got back, flew back from LA following the first Phillies series victory in almost a month. So, it's something that they badly needed. Nick Castellanos last night, he asked me, like, he knew the answer, obviously, but he's like, I said, yeah, you guys finally won a series. Like, yeah. Who was the last team we beat last time we won a series? I said, the Dodgers. He's like, yeah. And I go, what does that mean? He goes, I don't know. Nick being Nick,
I thought he was going to give you something deep.
Well, I think it was. I mean, he was kind of like inferring it was deep, but then he's like, it's just a weird coincidence, man. Baseball being baseball. So, good series in LA for the Phillies.
By the way, we're without Ruben, but we do have Willie. Willie's here.
Yeah, Willie the dog. Willie the dog. So if you're on YouTube, you can check out Jim's dog.
My long-haired mini dachshund. She's very needy today. She just wants to sit on my lap because it's so rainy out. So, but you're right. We talked a lot about how they've been struggling, and all three of us felt like they would come out of it.
Yeah.
And it looks like they are. They've won 3 or 4, and they won a series. Important series because they take the season series with the Dodgers just in case they finish tied. They'll have the tiebreaker in hand for home field, and that's important. Home field is important for the Phillies because I know Game 6 and 7 last year against Arizona, but they're still very, very good at home, and that's a tough place to play for visiting teams. So that was good. It was good to see Christopher Sanchez have a good one. Really, I thought, Kyle Schwarber was the star of the show.
Sure.
On Wednesday night, and he often is. He's a great player. He's been a great Phillies signing. That said, I want to give a little tip of the hat to Tyler Phillips, the way he was down early, but he really grinded and kept him in it and kept it close so the bats could come alive. And what a display by Schwarber. It was the 26th 3-home run game in Phillies history. I wouldn't have guessed they had 26 3-home run games, but they have been around for 140 years.
Yeah, they have been around for. You remember Harper had one in April in that driving, cold, frigid rainstorm against the Reds. Yeah, and Schwarber was tremendous. But going back to Tyler Phillips, he gave up those 2 runs in the first inning, but I mean, Brandon Marsh just misses the ball at the wall in left center field. Austin Hayes misses that sliding catch in left field. Both of those balls are caught. Who knows how the game happens. But it was interesting. They mentioned Schwarber. Schwarber made a point to go tell Tyler Phillips, I think after Schwarber hit that 3-run home run to give him an 8-4 lead, Kyle went up to him and said, hey, man, you kept this in the game. You need to know this. And then Tyler was kind of joking. He's like, no, man, like, you've been huge. You had the big double. You had the home run. You had the leadoff home run. Like, you're having a huge game. And he's like, and he said it was kind of a back and forth. Like, no. You're having the huge game.
Well, that's why Schwarber is a great teammate, man.
Totally.
He picks up those little things, and he pumps people up for doing those little difference-making things that can win a ball game. We've talked about this before. I don't want to get on a tangent, but he was very, very helpful in Alec Boehm's maturation when Boehm had some struggles early in 2022. We'd walk in the clubhouse, you'd see them sitting there together. And I know one of the anecdotes, I heard was Bowman had a tough night, or maybe another young player, but, Schwarber pulls up a chair and says, hey, let me tell you about the time I struck out 4 times in a game. Let me tell you about the times I struck out 5 times, whatever it was, and just kind of saying, I've been there, and this is a tough game, and you can pick yourself up from this and turn a little bit of failure into something positive, into a learning experience. Great signing on the field, great signing in the clubhouse.
So good. I mean, I even like Saturday, Jim, and they blew that game late against the Mariners. Just an awful loss. And Jeff Hoffman has his worst start in like 3 years, our worst appearance in 3 years. And Schwarber, after the game, he was kind of like the voice of reason, and kind of like trying to reassure everybody, provide some calmness. But he also said something interesting, I thought, after the game last night, talking about the Dodgers. He said, yeah, I mean, maybe we see these guys again. So, you kind of have to remember your at bats against them. You have to remember how they attack you. You have to remember just kind of, he's like, I know they're shorthanded right now. But this is a team that we could see again down the road. So I have to remember, keep all these little moments in the back of your mind. Do you think that this could be a NLCS rematch?
Well, I think it could be, but they're going on to Arizona, and boy, that team has caught fire.
Yeah, they have.
You never know. You just never know who they're going to see in the playoffs, and you never know. Hey, they still have to perform to get to the NLCS. So
right,
you can't take that for granted. I don't think they're taking it for granted. I don't think a Rob Thompson team would do that. A lot of interesting things happening in the standings. The Mets are now tied with the Braves in the division, and hard for me to believe, but the Braves are like hanging on that playoff grid. If they keep going south, they're going to fall off the playoff grid. They're currently tied with the Mets for the last wild card spot, and the Diamondbacks have just come on strong. I mean, they've won like 24 out of 36, I think, something like that. Since the end of June, they've been red hot. Now the Phillies got to contend with them over the weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a 4-game series. Not going to be easy, but, from a Phillies perspective, it's good they've kind of gotten some things together here going into that series.
Yeah, they want to keep it going as much as they can. But you could tell that they, I guess, well, really, it was the first time in a long time, almost a month, that, there was a buzz in the clubhouse after the game. Good. They were excited that they won. You had Castellanos got hit with the pitch, and then he was barking at the pitcher, telling him, "That's a big miss, bro. That's a big miss." Matt Strom, then the bottom of the inning, drills a guy.
Got lost.
Got lost. Yeah, you lost that one.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That's you can say it's dangerous to be throwing at people, and obviously it is, but Strom handled it the right way. Lux handled it the right way. Ran down to first base.
Yes.
And that's, to quote an old friend, that's good teammate behavior. You got to stand up for your buddies.
That's right. One guy we did not see, Jim, in LA was Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is on the injured list with a hand injury, but he's going to be coming back next week. And we had the opportunity the other day to chat with Mookie, who's like, one of the baseball's biggest superstars, for about 20 minutes the other day. And that was a lot of fun. And for those that don't know, I mean, Ruben's mentioned it on the show. He coached Mookie in Boston, and there's a real affection, that each has for one another. It was a cool talk.
No question. I've heard Ruben talk about Mookie Betts. So Ruben, after his time as Phillies GM was up, he very quickly went back on the field, put on a uniform with the Boston Red Sox, became their first base coach, also coached the outfielders and the base running. Oh, Mookie Betts is their right fielder at that time, and he's a great base runner, base stealer. They developed a great bond and a great respect for each other. And Ruben was able to secure this interview with Mookie Betts. So Mookie, I didn't ask him this, but I'm sure he considers it a career highlight to appear on the Todd Pod.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was texting everybody afterwards. He was like texting Freddie Freeman and Ohtani, going, "Dude, you gotta go on. You gotta go on. It was the time of my life. There's no doubt about it."
Well, what do you say? Let's give it a listen. No?
Yeah, you gotta listen to this. And one thing I want you to keep your ears open for is listen to how Mookie Betts says farewell to Ruben. You guys are gonna get it. I think you're really gonna enjoy this. Mookie, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate the time. All of us have a lot in common besides the physical talents and the charm. We all do a podcast, and you've got on base with Mookie Betts, with Bleacher Report, and you've had some big time heavy hitters. Obviously, you've had Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Francisco Lindor, Freddie Freeman. But I think Phillies fans are going to be most interested in your last guest. I saw you just posted a photo of you with Aaron Nola. And I'm wondering, when is that episode going to drop? And what did you learn most about Aaron Nola that might interest Phillies fans?
It was live, so I don't know how it works after it's live, but I've loved doing the podcast, and I've really loved getting to know people. Like, I really can sit down in front of really anybody and get to know a lot about them in an hour. And so going in knowing that I was doing Nola, I was like, well, he hasn't ever said anything, so I don't know what I'm gonna get. I mean, he doesn't smile on the field, he doesn't do anything. I know he's obviously now I know he's having fun and whatnot, but I wasn't sure what to expect. And what I learned the most about him was probably his knowledge of fishing. I know he didn't talk to me about it, but I could only imagine how deep it really runs when it comes to just fishing. And then just his love for his brother. That showed that really showed. He really kind of lit up, and he said he could talk for hours about that. And that's probably the only thing I can imagine him talking hours about. But I mean, he's real cool, real chill, and I'm glad I got to have him on.
It's funny that you picked up on his demeanor on the field. The guy, no emotion. You can never tell if he's happy, mad, sad, whatever.
I appreciate it though. I wish I could do it, but I'm not wired that way.
Well, you've had some pretty good success against Nola in your career. I just looked up the numbers. You're 7 for 20, double, couple home runs. You haven't gotten to face him this year, of course, because you've been hurt, but I'm thinking maybe in October you might have the opportunity to face Aaron. Do you think like Dodgers, Phillies, NLCS, we might be seeing a preview this week at Dodger Stadium possibly?
No, I mean, it's just not the same. No, not everybody's healthy, and for either team, right? And so, and then just a game. What month is this? August. I mean, a game in August. Even though we do play hard and we take everything serious, it's just nothing could really simulate a playoff game, and the feeling, and just walking into the park, the smell of being outside. I mean, there's so many things when it comes to playoffs that you can't replicate. So, I mean, maybe the Phillies and the Dodgers as teams per se, but that's definitely not the game. The game will be completely different.
For sure.
Hey, Mookie, thanks again for being with us. One of your biggest fans is on here, and that's Ruben Amaro. I've heard a lot of stories. He cherished his time with you in Boston. As you know, he's done everything in the game. He was a bat boy for the Phillies. He played for the Phillies. He was an assistant GM. He was a GM. And then when his time as general manager came to an end, he goes back, puts a uniform on, goes on the field as a coach with the Boston Red Sox, and he just so happens to coach the outfielders and base running, and that earned him a lot of time with you. What were those experiences like for you? And maybe Ruben can jump in a little bit and tell us what he enjoyed about working with you as well.
To be honest, he didn't teach me a whole lot about baseball. It wasn't baseball that really stood out. It was really just the honesty, being able to go talk to him, because I didn't really need a whole lot of help playing baseball. I needed like almost life coaching within baseball. And I feel like he was there. He was placed perfectly for that. And sometimes, I mean, when I didn't feel good or whatever, he was like, shut up, just be quiet. Just go play. Just go play right field. Go be Mookie. Go do this, go do that. And it was like, no matter how.
Oh.
There we go. That's the white. There you go. He always would slow me down and would always just instill confidence in me. And so I just remember so many times, like, but he'll remember this. So many times I felt like I could steal this base. Like, I feel like I could steal this base. Like, I would look at him like with this concern, like, I think I can go. And he would look at me and like, yeah, go. Steal the base. Steal the base. He would say all the time. And even if the first baseman was right there, go steal the, and it's like, so like just that instilled the confidence in me that really that I use today. Like I even do it now. Like, bro, just swing, just hit, just go. The guy's slow to. I catch myself saying that to the young guys now, and so that's It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a whole lot of baseball stuff. It was more like the life within the baseball.
Yeah, what was interesting about being with Mookie is I don't know if Mookie really realized how good he was. I really don't. He worked so hard. I mean, he's one of the hardest working guys, perfectionist, great athlete, all that stuff. Everything you see with him on the field every day. But as a person, he was really a perfectionist, and I just don't know. Like he wanted to do everything perfectly, and there were times when I was like, Mook, one, we're going to make mistakes. I was actually glad he got picked off one time. He hadn't gotten picked off in like 4 years or something like that. And I was like, dude, just go. Just be you, because it's okay to make that mistake and it's okay to be not perfect. And it was just a joy to be around him just because he was really humble about that. I think he believed in himself, but he didn't quite believe in all the things that he could do on the field. And I was like, man, you can do things, and his instinct is just off the charts. But so he's right. I didn't have to teach him anything about baseball, and the only thing I didn't want to do was screw these guys up, he and Jackie and Benintendi. That was my goal. Don't screw them up because they're just fine. But it was fun to be with him. Really,
Mookie, when Ruben was the GM of the Phillies, I know he tried to trade for you.
He said that, and he said he's going to put me at second base.
Well.
Is that true?
I needed an infielder. There were some guys that thought that he was not like the classic center fielder, and he was so athletic he could play anywhere in the field. I was like, man, I probably needed a second baseman, so let's get him in the infield, in the middle infield. How good would his numbers and ridiculous would his numbers be as a middle infielder? So, and
what happened with that? Whatever happened? Did they just didn't want to trade?
Well, it got to the point where that year it was Cole Hamels that was involved. And first of all, they didn't want to trade you. I would have gone probably 1-for-1 for you. But I was trying to push hard. You were sort of the top of the ticket for me. And there were some other guys that I was interested in too. At the time, there were some young dudes. So Swihart was there. And
He was a lefty pitcher.
there's a left-hander. Owens was there. So yeah, he was, but I was trying to get the big boys. And you were probably the top of the list, but Ben Cherington just felt like that team wasn't good enough to add on to the point where he didn't think it was going to be good enough anyway, so he just backed off. So I was out.
How did Ruben? I know he used to pitch batting practice lefty in. Right?
I tried to.
He tried, and then how did he handle the fungo bat as an outfield instructor?
It was all right. I mean, really, he started off and it was rough. Nah, I ain't gonna say rough. It wasn't great starting off, but then to his point, like I take an obsessive amount of ground balls and fly balls, and so I would say probably by May, June, it got good because he had hit so many by that time. It got good, and then he was fine with it, and I would just keep going and keep going and keep going, and I think he would get bored with it and be like, okay, that's enough. Let's go inside and do something else.
I thought Mookie was going to be like 1 pound by the end of the year. He kept taking. I mean, he was such a perfectionist. He worked so hard at every part of his game that I actually had to back him off. Hey, Mookie. So the thing that I've noticed about you since you left Boston is like how you've sort of grown into this leadership role. Tell me about that transition for you. Because in Boston, you didn't seem like you had that same role or felt that same way to be able to do that. What clicked for you when you slid over to LA and sort of became the guy and sort of like a leader?
I don't know. Because when I first came, Justin Turner was here, who was really kind of running the team with Kirsch. And so I just really came over and was just chilling and I just kind of taking care of my job. And like now, now that a lot has changed, I still don't really see myself as a leader like that. I just show up, do my job, and go home. If there's something that needs to be said, the only thing I guess I grew up and I've started to hold myself more accountable to whatever it is, right? So I feel like your successes and your failures are both your fault. They're on you. And so I feel like now because I hold myself to that standard, I kind of hold other people around me to that standard. And so if you're going and you're not playing well, if you're not doing this well, or whatever it is, and I see, well, I mean, bro, you can't really expect to bunt if you don't ever bunt. Like you can't expect to get out of this slump if you go hit the same amount that you hit. And so because I hold myself to that standard and I hold the other people around me to that standard, sometimes I just don't say anything because what I'm going to say to you, you probably are not going to like. And so that's why I don't see myself really as that much of a leader, just because I try not to do that to everyone, because not everyone can handle that type of stuff. Because I've said it, and even with my wife, whatever it is, they may get mad, or who she may get mad because I say something, and so I know my wife, that's fine, but my teammates, I don't think it's a good idea to really, because people handle things different ways. So I don't see myself as that much of a leader. Maybe like a on the field example leader, but definitely not a vocal rah rah type leader, or whatever you say.
You're definitely an example guy because you play the game the right way. You're one of those guys that when a young kid is sitting in the stands with his mom or dad, the parent says, "See that guy right there? That is the way you play the game." That was like how Chase Utley played it too. So,
Yeah, Chase. Yep.
Hats off to you for that. I wanted to ask you a lot of time. We're in Philly. We're Philly guys. A lot of time we'll see these player polls, and a lot of players will say Philly is the toughest place to play as a visitor, as a visiting player. Is there any truth to that? You've been through Philly a few times. What's it like playing in Philly in front of that raucous fan base that they attract on a nightly basis?
It's fun, man. It's fun. When I was in the outfield, they say some good stuff out there. They say some good stuff out there. They're in New York. They got some good stuff. But I think that's at first it would get to me, and I would turn around and like y'all are really talking to me like this, and whatever. And so but now, well, I mean, I'm in the infield now, so I don't really hear it. But I just got to a point where you just get numb and you feel the atmosphere, but you don't really hear what they're saying. But you definitely feel it going into Philly, no matter if it is April or June or October. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. Now, the game may be a little different, obviously, because during the regular season, during the postseason, but Philly always brings it, and that's one thing I do appreciate about going into Philly.
Anything creative that you might remember that they said to you?
Not that I can say on here.
I feel like Boston probably prepared you for it. I mean, it's not like Boston's
Absolutely.
an easy place to play. I know you played great there, but the team doesn't do well. I'm sure team heard some boos from time to time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing that I really appreciated being in Boston, because no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter what day it is, no matter what time it is, every time you put on that uniform, you have to strap it up and be ready to go. Like there's no going, like to your point, like you're gonna get booed. You're gonna get booed if you don't run down the line or don't play the game the right way or don't do extra work or whatever. You're not accountable in front of the media. Like you're gonna get booed. And so all these things, to your point, help me to who I am today.
And so just one last quick one about your transition to the infield. I know that you used to take ground balls all the time. How much joy are you having right now? I mean, how much fun are you having? I mean, sometimes, you're one of those guys who wants to be involved in the action. Tell me about how that's been feeling at Short.
It's Coach. It's probably one of the best feelings in the world. Because when I got drafted, I was at Short and immediately got moved off of Short. Probably 10, 12 games in, going to second base. And so I never got that. Nobody ever took the time to teach me or whatever it is. And I understand they have their reasons. So, whatever the reasons is, it worked out. So thank you. Right. But, I wish I would have gotten that instruction and gotten to learn how to play short. And so I went all these years and never got to do it. And now it comes back full circle. And the practice is so much fun for me. That's just the ground balls, the pregame routine. You see me out there. I'm out there an hour every day, especially right now I'm hurt. I mean, I'm taking ground balls an hour straight, and it looks tiring, this, that, and the other, but like I'm having the time of my life out there, just having so much fun. But the only thing that may not be the time of my life is the stress that comes with playing short in the big leagues. Like you may only get 3 plays, but you better not mess them up. And it's like in the 8th inning, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs, and they hit you like a backhand that's a relatively routine backhand. But for me, that's not relatively routine. Like I'm just learning this. I'm just learning how to do it. I just learned this 2 days ago. So I'm trying to put it in the game now. And so that part is stressful, but it's fun. It's definitely kept me up at night though.
Mookie, last one for me, and we'll let you go. I was listening to the Mike Trout podcast, and I think what's cool about your podcast, you're not in there going like, what are you working on in the cage right now? Right. Or, that it's all human interest stuff, learning the player off the field. And so I'm wondering, you just had Aaron Nola on. Who is next on your Phillies wish list, and why would you like to interview them and dig into who they are as a person?
Well, honestly, I mean, I know the world wants to see Bryce. They want to hear from Bryce. And this is no shot at Bryce by any means. I feel like we've known you since you were 16, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've known you've been on Baseball America. Like, we know everything about you since you were 16, 17. So it's not that I don't want him on there by any means. Mm-hmm. I feel like the podcast is geared for people like Aaron Nola, who nobody really knows. So for the Phillies, my next one, I would really like to get Zach Wheeler on there because he doesn't talk. I know nothing about him, nothing. And so that was the good thing. That's what I enjoy, because going in with Aaron, I saw him in the lobby when I got there. And we hadn't started. Obviously, we're walking up to the room together. And from the lobby, walking up to the room together, when I first saw him, I said, Aaron, I'm not talking to you because everything I'm going to talk to you about is going to be on air. So me and him did not talk for 20 minutes, and we were 3 feet away from each other. And so what I love about it is, like, I'm genuinely getting to know Aaron as the show is going on, because I don't know him. So, like, for Zach, there's no possible way. I haven't spoken to him now, so there's no way I would speak to him until in front of the camera. So hopefully he says yes. We'll see. We'll see.
That's awesome, and I hope that happens, because that would be a great listen. Because you're right, Zach is a little bit of a man of mystery. He likes to keep things close to the vest.
I'm trying to solve the mystery for us all.
Mookie, got to make it happen, man. We really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yes, thanks for bringing so much joy. Thanks for bringing so much joy to me and to the fans of Major League Baseball, man. It's been awesome to watch you go.
Love you, Coach.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks again to Mookie Betts. We had a great time. Ruben will be back on Monday. We'll be back on Monday to talk about the Diamondback series. We'll do a look ahead at the homestand. Remember, folks, we're part of the Foul Territory Network, so check out all their shows. Jim, that was great. I'll talk to you on Monday.
Smell you later, Todd.
Smell ya. This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.